Alright, here's a quick run through for the installation and adjustment of the prime on bottom. So I removed I've removed all the parts per the instructions. I've already attached the tube bracket, and I've attached the support arm that has the new chain attachment. So the primer, the tube feed primer system comes pre-assembled, but we need to install the primer pin first. That drops in from the top. It has a retainer clip that goes on the bottom. There's a little notch on it that goes towards the ram. Push that on, and then we insert. You have to take the spring from the existing primer and put that in. Alright, now we're ready to drop on the primer assembly. It helps to push the primer up, make sure that the spring goes into it, or else you'll bend the spring. Drops in the hole. We'll rotate this case finger back out of the way, then we can put the shell plate on. And put in our case ejector and nut. Alright, so at this point I've centered the shell plate to where the primer pin needs to be, because I'm just going to make sure this is functioning before we put the indexer on. So basically we should see it retract the slide. If we were to look down inside, we should see that the the hole for the primer slide is lined up with where the tube's going to be. And when we come down, if we watch, we go slow, we watch, the slide should be over the primer pin before the primer pin touches the frame. So that's what we're checking for now. It comes back, verify that it comes back all the way. Once it gets over the primer pin, look, make sure that there is still gap. Alright, so that's checking the function of the primer delivery. Now for the indexing, we're going to take the bracket and the finger with the spring, assemble that, and we're going to slide that onto the arm. Now, without the indexer rod in, we're going to check where it's at. So the starting point is, we're going to start with this finger just clearing the frame. That's going to be our starting point. If we have to make any adjustments, we'll end up sliding this farther up the arm if we have to make adjustments, but we're going to start right there. So we're going to put it there, and then just snug this up so it doesn't move. We don't have to over tighten this, because it'll end up probably breaking the plastic if you over tighten it. We're just snugging it up so it doesn't move. So that's our starting point there. Now with the indexer rod, this paddle needs to be fairly tight. If it's not, you can try putting some thread tape on this, but it shouldn't be super floppy loose. I've included this frame spacer that clips on, so I'll show you that right here. That's this piece. It clips on the frame right here to fill in this void, and what that's doing is that prevents the this indexer from tipping over too far and getting caught on the frame. So we install that. Now we're going to put in our indexer rod. Alright, so the clocking to get this to work is still up to you to get done, but now what we're checking is, we're going to come up, we're going to touch here, we're checking to see where the slide's at. So slowly we're going to index. Now we're fully indexed, so we need to look to see if the slide has come up over the primer pin. It has. Now as I continue down, I'll see the primer pin come up. So if you need the shell plate to advance sooner, what you do is you move this bracket up. So I loosen these screws. So again, if I wanted the shell plate to advance faster, you know, say it's not getting fully turned before the primer pin starts coming up, I move this up. So I move this up a little bit, tighten it again, and what that will do is it'll make the shell plate advance sooner. So then we run it again, check. I'm going to watch to see the shell plate has advanced before the primer pin starts coming up. So once you're happy with that, just, you know, cycle this a few times with no cases in it. Make sure everything's running smooth. See, right here I can see that I'm having a little bit of an issue where this is hitting and it doesn't want to come past because that's not rotating. So that means that I've raised this up too high, because this frame piece right here is what pushes this out of the way. So if I'm getting right here and this won't go past, then this has actually been raised up too high. And I didn't have it tight, so you can see right there it probably wasn't. So see, I lowered it a little bit, now it wants to pass it. So we'll tighten this back down. See, so the position of this works in two ways. You go too high, it'll get caught on the paddle. If you're too low, it may not be advancing your shell plate soon enough. So you have to run it slow and watch it and adjust that. So now I'm happy with that. It comes up, I get my full advancement before the primer pin is pushing up. Now when you're priming, it doesn't take a lot of effort. I've got a second video on there that shows me actually running cases, but basically we're doing our operations at the top. We're going to come up till we hit the advance. We're going to advance it slowly. It gets us to this point, and now we're just going to, put pressure till we can feel it seating the primer, and then just give a little bit more pressure. That's all it takes. It's surprisingly little effort to get it to prime. All right, we're going to run some primers through this and kind of show you the cadence of what I'm doing. I use this pickup. I made a straw with some of that poster board stuff in it. This is fantastic for picking up primers. You can grab them out things, they stick to it. So I recommend making one of these. I've already run some primers this morning. Everything came out flat. I didn't have any issues with these. I've got about 30 primers in the tube. There's a mix of CCI and was it Genix? Oh, it's it's an off-brand, foreign brand. But I've got to mix them in there. I just want to make sure that I'm, nothing with primer brands. So there's actually a mix of primers in this tube. I've shot both of them. They don't really change. I'm recreational. It doesn't matter to me if I'm mixing those and I'm loading. So the ones I'm going to load here, these have not been cleaned. I have not done anything to the pockets. This is basically range brass that I just kind of, I may not even have tumbled these, but they're not clean and they weren't prepped. So, I'm running whatever I got. So, first thing, for me to evaluate the performance of it, usually I'm running slow so we can see. This is where this comes in. this will grab them. It'll grab them right off. So I really recommend making one of these. All right, so let's run some cases through here and we'll see what they're doing. So this is 45 ACP. Now this is the cadence for me. Right there, I felt it go in. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on it. I felt it push it in. So here's the next primer. So we'll put the next case in. Because again, whatever's going on at the top, when I'm at the bottom, this is the only thing I'm doing at the bottom. So this is kind of my cadence. It comes over. I feel it push in. Again, there's the next primer coming in, but I'm wanting to check these one at a time. All right, so now we'll at least do 2 in a row. I feel it push in. Feel it push in. We'll just keep going. So again, whatever's happening at the top, whatever's happening at the top, that's my cadence for doing those. We come up, I'll shake it just for whatever's happening at the top. All right, so we'll cycle these out. Looks good. Oh. Looks good. Looks good. Looks good. All right, so I know the system works, and that's why I really want to work with anyone who's having trouble, because it works. I can run this thing. I can run it. It works. If we can't get it to work for you, I'll do something to help you out on that, because I don't want to sell something to somebody they can't use. But this is how I run it, specifically on the bottom. We're pressing on the top. We come down. As soon as I get to this point right here, I'm indexing, and I'm just pushing pressure until I feel it stop. I'm not, that's all slow. That action's slow. Let me find one. I put too much pressure on one to, because it doesn't take much, and it takes a bit of feel to get used to it. This one, this one has a little bit of a smiley on it, and the smiley's off center, but it's it's putting them in the pocket, and it feeds them fine. But the amount of off center this smiley has is very similar to how my press would have done it with the original system on it. So I don't know. Hopefully we can get yours straightened out for you.